Thank you for joining me tonight with our Jobs in Jeopardy show. Jobs aren't just in jeopardy, though. They're already gone. They're fleeing. They're running out the door as we speak. And the rhetoric I hear from all these politicians, it's as if, well, I mean, there's going to be some pain coming. It's always coming. Well, we should have this wrapped up in a couple weeks, maybe a month or so. There's something coming. We've got danger coming. It's not coming. It's here. You idiots. You're sitting there collecting your taxpayer-funded checks, and you are completely unaware of what is happening in the world. You're going to find out tonight. I have a bunch of great guests for you. I have emails from real business owners for you, from people who've lost it all already. Right now, not next week, not the week after, not Easter, right now, people are having their livelihoods destroyed in the United States of America over a virus. Yes, it's a serious virus. Yes, we should take it seriously. Protect the older folks, quarantine the super infected areas, yes, but you do not shut down a $20 trillion economy for any reason whatsoever. And it's not about the stock market. It's not about profits. It's about how people live. It's about paying your mortgage. It's about clothing your kids. It's about feeding your family. It's about paying for health care. You know what's bad for older folks who are having some health problems? Not having the money for medical care. That's what's bad. People have to go back to work. 99% of the businesses in America are small businesses. They employ half of the people. That is right. Small businesses are half of our economy, and you are gutting them. And the best we have now, the best we have, a $2 trillion wasteful, pork-laden bill passing through Congress, that's your hope? People, there is no bill. There's no bill that's going to help. You can maybe give somebody a $1,200 check, and yet, you know what? You should, because you gutted all of us. But a massive $2 trillion bill that your great-great-grandkids are still going to be paying off is not a solution. The only solution is to turn on the United States economy now, right now. And what worries me is they're not even considering it. They're racing in the other direction. And you know what we've got now? We have a bunch of Lord Farquaads, mayors and governors who are drunk on their own power that feel like they finally have the authority to shut everybody down. You are an American citizen. A mayor does not have the authority to destroy your life. A governor does not have the authority to destroy your life. I'm disgusted by what I've seen out here. You know what? Governor Cuomo of New York, I've disagreed with him so much of this time, but at least he had the guts to admit, maybe this wasn't that smart.
That was our public health strategy. Just close everything. All businesses, all workers, young people, old people, short people, tall people, every school, close everything. If you rethought that or had time to analyze that public health strategy, I don't know that you would say quarantine everyone. I don't even know that that was the best public health policy. Young people then quarantined with older people was probably not the best public health strategy because the younger people could have been exposing the older people to an infection. So how do you modify the public health strategy to make it smarter from a public health point of view, but also starts to get you back to work? Younger people can go back to work. People who have resolved can go back to work. People who, once we get this antibody test, show that they had the virus and they resolved, can go back to work. That's how I think you do it. It's not we're going to either do public health or we're going to do economic development, restarting. We have to do both. We have to do both.
Wow. How about, you mean you can both take a virus seriously and not commit national suicide? If only someone had told us earlier. Oh yeah, I did. I've been screaming it for days. Since the very beginning, this entire thing has been groupthink insanity by a bunch of eggheads with their computer models. Well, I modeled it, and it shows that we're going to have 20 trillion people die. You morons. At least we have some sanity coming out of the state of Texas.
I've talked to hundreds of people, Tucker, and just in the last week, and making calls all the time, and everyone says pretty much the same thing, that we can't lose our whole country. We're having an economic collapse. I'm also a small businessman. I understand it, and I talk with business people all the time, Tucker, and my heart is lifted tonight by what I heard the president say, because we can do more than, one thing at a time. We can do two things. So, my message is that let's get back to work. Let's get back to living. Let's be smart about it. And those of us who are 70 plus, we'll take care of ourselves, but don't sacrifice the country.
You know what I'm thinking of? Now that I just saw a governor and a lieutenant governor on there, how about this for a problem that's coming that people don't see coming? Here's what's coming. Mayors can't print money. Governors can't print money. They can't do what the federal government can do. You have to come close to balancing budgets. So you know what you're going to see? You're going to see something that you've never seen before. You're going to see Democrat governors cutting. It's coming. All these politicians love to run on, I'm going to give away this and I'm going to give away that, and we're going to expand this and we're going to do this. The expansion's over, Jack. You all decided you want to join together in your merry way and kneecap the economy of your own state, your own city. Be prepared to reap the whirlwind. President Trump says, Easter?
Ultimately, the goal is to ease the guidelines and open things up to very large sections of our country as we near the end of our historic battle with the invisible enemy. We're going for a while, but we win. We'll win. I said earlier today that I hope we can do this by Easter. I think that would be a great thing for our country, and we're all working very hard to make that a reality. We'll be meeting with a lot of people to see if it can be done. Easter is a very special day for many reasons. For me, for a lot of our friends, that's a very special day. And what a great timeline this would be. Easter as our timeline, what a great timeline that would be.
It would be. We don't have until Easter. You wait until Easter to turn this thing back on, it's going to be a smoldering ruin of an economy. Turn this thing back on now. You're about to hear interviews with great guests. Clay Travis, Carol Roth, Dave Bratt. We have a small business owner. You're about to hear emails from real people who have been crushed. Turn this economy back on now, because jobs are very much in jeopardy. All of that may have made you uncomfortable, but I'm right. Now, let me tell you about mybookie.ag. You see, we all need some kind of sports fix right now, right? I mean, we need something. There is no more sports left. You can only make so many top 10 lists of your favorite running backs of all time. What if you could bet on politics? You can. It's called mybookie.ag. And if you use the promo code Jesse, again, that's promo code Jesse, don't forget, you will get a match. You put in $250, they'll match your $250. You put in $1,000, they match your $1,000. That's free money. Go to mybookie.ag and start betting on politics. You can bet on the next Supreme Court justice to retire. You can bet on the next terrorist who's going to get captured. You can bet on whether or not Donald Trump's Twitter account is going to get suspended. It's a lot of fun. I've been totally enjoying myself. Come join me on mybookie.ag. Do not forget promo code Jesse. Again, that's mybookie.ag, promo code Jesse. Joining me now for Outkick the Coverage Sports Radio on Fox Sports Radio, a man who needs no introduction because he's a national host. In fact, he's my sports show. So this is special for me. Clay Travis joins us. Clay, sports has all been canceled, and you could just be sitting around quietly doing nothing. Instead, you have actually been one of the leading voices out there trying to stop the nation from committing suicide. Why bother with it?
It's a great question. I think, one, because it directly impacts the health of our country, and sports is a big part of the health of our country. I think we need more than ever these places where we can go where we're not divided by race, gender, ethnicity, religion. I always say when your favorite team scores a touchdown or makes a winning shot, you're high-fiving everybody around you in the arena or the stadium. You don't ask them who they voted for president. You don't ask them what their religion is. You don't ask about sexuality. It is a uniting, connective tissue in a time when I think our nation doesn't have very many. But more importantly, I think it's important for people with voices to share factual information and not try and terrify everybody. And so a big part of when sports will return is the psychology of when our nation believes the country is safe. And I think it's important to contextualize and understand what exactly is going on here. The coronavirus is an awful virus, but it isn't the most dangerous virus that has ever existed in the world. It certainly isn't the most dangerous virus, potentially from a death rate, that we will even confront this year. So I think it's just important to follow the data as opposed to following these studies that suggest that doom and gloom is around the corner. Because I think there's a predisposition to embrace fear in this country, and I'd rather embrace facts oftentimes and usually than fear.
Clay, on top of my frustration, I have to tell you this past couple weeks has been the most bizarre time I can ever remember, and that all the world leaders, governors, mayors, prime ministers, everybody seems to have collectively agreed on crushing their own country's economy, and I feel like I'm on the twilight zone. I have a single-digit IQ, and I know that you don't plunge your own country into a Great Depression. You don't do it. You don't shoot your own country in the face. Money is what gives us our healthcare system. How did this happen? Did it just snowball? It's one study? Is it two studies? How did every country on earth just decide, well, screw ourselves?
I think this is something we're going to have to study to a great extent when all of this is said and done. And I think one of the big challenges is we simply don't have as much information as we should. And there's two things that I believe should be happening right now, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, whether you're an anarchist for that matter. I think what should be going on is we should be having blind studies of general populations in America. Because right now we have what I'm calling a denominator problem. And what I mean by a denominator problem is we don't know how many people either have this virus or have had this virus already. And so when we're dividing and figuring out death rates and everything else associated with it, we are doing that from a fundamentally inaccurate place. And I'm far from a mathematician. You know, I'm mediocre at math in general. But what you divide by matters. And so right now, if we've got 85 or 90,000 cases, let's round it up and say there's 100,000 cases in America right now that we have tested and confirmed. That probably, to me, means there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of additional cases from asymptomatic people and people who are not even aware that they have these illnesses, right? This illness in the first place. So that matters because it probably drives down the overall death rate to a place where it is something akin to other viruses we've dealt with before, like the flu. And so we need that data. We need those blind tests. And that's why I've said, and I've written about it, this is sports intersecting. I don't know, I'm sure you saw this. 10 NBA players out of 120 tested have shown to have the coronavirus. That's 8.3% of the guys that were tested. Well, are those NBA players extreme outliers and not representative of the American population? Maybe, but we don't know. And what I think they represent, along with all these people getting sick, Tom Hanks, Rita Wilson, Idris Elba, we just found out about the Prime Minister of Great Britain, Boris Johnson. There's a lot of celebrities and famous people, Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, from the world of sports that have this disease. Either you believe that they are outliers in a small percentage, they happen to be famous and have these diseases as well, or what I think is likely the case as more data comes in, this is an incredibly prevalent virus that is not as deadly as we were initially led to believe.
One of the big disconnects I've seen, specifically with sports, with the travel industry, is it seems like everybody who's reflexively just saying, well, just shut everything down. I feel like there's a real disconnect between those people and the actual working man. Sports is not just about the millionaire NBA players and the star quarterback. These sports sustain people's livelihoods, lots of them. I mean, it can't even be counted how much the travel industry does, hotels, all these things, and we are wiping income off the books. From what we've done already, it will be felt for years, and I guess I just feel like there's a massive distance between the people making decisions and working people. How does that happen in an era where we have social media and you can connect with anybody?
Well, I think it speaks to fear again. And one of the challenges when we have fear and we have incomplete information is oftentimes it's very difficult to craft intelligent social policy because we're trying to make decisions without having the full amount of data in front of us. And that's why I'm speaking about the need for need-blind tests in terms of testing everybody, healthy and unhealthy. We also need antibody tests to try to see how many people might have had this before. But you hit on it, right? I mean, sports touches the cross-section of American life. And while we're focusing a lot on the games themselves not taking place, the guy who sells beer walking up and down the aisle, the guy who sells parking, those guys are losing their jobs as well. And to the credit of the owners and players, a lot of those guys have tried to step up who have substantial resources and take care of them. But we can't do that forever. And that's why I believe one of many reasons that we should be trying to get the best possible data to ensure that if we're going to shut down our economy, that is at least a calculated decision that we are making where we understand all of the data as opposed to a percentage of it. And where we're not trying to find the worst possible case scenario, we need to figure out what the most likely scenarios are as opposed to just buying into to the most devastating studies out there that get a lot of the clicks, what I call the fear porn.
Clay Travis, Outkick the coverage on Fox Sports Radio. Thank you so much for giving us some time tonight. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, I appreciate it, my man. Keep up the good work.
Be good. That's just one. We've got more, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate Clay joining us. What does this mean for the stock market? We have a stock market expert coming up. Hang on. Before I get to the great Carol Roth of the Roth Effect podcast, by the way, that is a podcast you need to get all over, but be that as it may, let me read for you a couple emails. These are two of the 300 or 400 emails I've received over the past couple days when I asked for emails of people's stories, of their jobs, of their business. So when I tell you this is a tiny sample, this is a tiny sample. Now magnify these stories across an entire nation. This is from a man who owns a dental practice in Colorado. Quote, I'm a small business owner and I feel like the mafia just showed up, closed my office, and now they're telling me I can't reopen and they will give me a loan to do that. All of my employees have gone on unemployment. If this keeps going, I am afraid I won't have an office to go back to. Then we have one from a real estate broker. I had a lot of real estate people reach out. Quote, I had 2 deals canceled last week and another one today. Lost $15K. I'm straight commission. This goes on until May. I'm going to have problems. Not to mention we manage 600 properties and tenants are already calling saying they are out of work. How many will be able to pay in April, May? I've never seen anything like this in 20 years of working. Carol Roth, I also have never seen anything like this in more than 20 years of working. Gosh, I'm getting old. What in the world are small business people, are real estate people, what are people supposed to do right now? Should they be seeking out loans? I mean, they clearly can't pull any money out of the market because they lost all that. What should people be doing?
Yeah, this is an unprecedented time for small business owners. We've never seen, like you said, anything like this in history. And it sort of doesn't matter what industry. You mentioned a couple of them. I'm hearing same thing from auto repair, advertising, restaurants. Small business owners feel like they have been shafted, and frankly, they have. They've been told to close down, but instead of being compensated for that in a way that would keep them in business and bridge this gap and allow people to eventually go back to work, Congress is being Congress, and now they're making them get loans. Do you know how long it takes to get loans and fill out paperwork, and then you're going to have to guess if maybe it can get repaid or it gets forgiven, and no, you didn't fill this out correctly, so it doesn't. So as I'm talking to small business owners, I'm a problem solver, so I'm not going to lament every single problem here, but we have a lot of people who are pivoting, trying to figure out other things that they can do in the interim to just get some cash to hopefully stay in business. We have some employers who are reaching out to their customer base with employee relief funds, putting in some of their own capital and asking customers to help contribute to keep their businesses that they love to patronize afloat. And there are some that are really down in the dumps and aren't just sure what to do. But again, these are entrepreneurs, so they're trying to use the entrepreneurial spirit to do whatever they can. But small business, Jesse, is the backbone of our economy. We have 30.2 million small businesses, half of our revenue, half the employees, and they are getting hosed here.
Carol, now this is going to be a really stupid question, but I'm really stupid, so I ask these things. Should a small business owner who's drowning right now, like this guy with the tennis or something like that, is it worth their time to reach out to a bank they're on the hook for, or a credit card company, and ask for some mercy? Is that even worth their time? Are those places even able to do something like that if you're drowning?
Yes, and everybody, ask your vendors for one-time discounts, ask your bank what kind of relief that they can provide and if they can walk you through the process. Ask anybody you owe money to if you can delay. For those who have flexibility, people are really being good citizens at this point in time and offering up what they can. So do not be afraid to ask for help. Help is not a four-letter word in the figurative sense. So ask your customers, ask your employees for idea, ask your vendors, ask your financiers, ask everyone you can, because people are willing to help, and you're going to get a lot more help from the people in the free market than you are from the government.
It does not do any good to sit around licking your wounds. All right, Carol, obviously nobody wants to look at their 401k or any of their investments right now. I actually had my guy call me to give me an update, and I ignored his call and texted him and told him, don't call me again until it's all over. That's just how I choose to deal with all my problems. But let's say you are sitting on some cash right now, because there are people out there sitting on some cash. Would you consider snatching up some stuff right now on the cheap, or is it just still way, way, way too risky to start that?
So obviously it's always dependent on your own personal situation, but I can give you my situation because I am sitting on some cash right now, and I am not deploying that in the market because I don't think all of the bad news has been priced in yet. I think that people are underestimating the economic devastation, particularly of small businesses, and they did not get enough compensation in the stimulus package. I think it's going to have a much bigger impact than people are projecting, and I think that we could have another 20 to 25% downside from here. So if the Dow was at 15,000, would I consider deploying some capital? Yes. But I think that, it may go up a little, but I think there is enough risk for that economic downfall, a month, 2 months, 3 months from now, that unless there's, one name that you just really like and it's just, such a bargain and you want to start nibbling at it from a broader market standpoint, what I am doing is sitting tight.
Well, Carol, I have to be honest with you. I am extremely upset about the old stimulus bill I'm seeing here. I see $1,200 for Americans. I see, as you pointed out, 30 million small businesses that are being gutted like fish as we speak, and you're promising them loans while exempting businesses with 500 or more employees out of the same obligations you're now putting on those small businesses. How does something like this even get to the floor?
The National Endowment of the Arts and the Kennedy Center and whoever else that happens to be friends with people in Washington, they just get money dropped from the helicopter. But if you're a small business risking your 401k and putting people to work in this country and the backbone of the economy, you have to sit down and apply for a loan that they said will be forgiven if you fit these certain parameters. But we all know that that's suspect, and you're going to have to personally guarantee that. So the fact that we're not even being treated, small businesses, in the same way, that even though you're half the economy, you're getting 16, 17% of the funding. Once again, Congress has shown that they don't care about small business in this country.
Carol Roth, we always get smarter. Well, everyone else gets smarter. I'm already really smart. Every time you come on, thank you so much.
Everyone stay safe.
We got more. Told you it was going to be a good show. Hang on. Right before I get to my next guest here, allow me to read you a couple more emails from people, and I have been flooded with these from around the country. Quote, this guy is a startup company founder. This is about the worst possible time for this virus to happen for us. As a company, we are a promising startup, but this virus could kill us before we really even get off the ground. Then we have an energy management company owner and former Marine saying, quote, I had to lay off 15 electricians and 6 pipe fitter plumbers because we can't work in any buildings, and utility company ordered us not to work on their projects. We are ground to a halt. No, and I mean no revenue for the foreseeable future. To make matters worse, I have 5 salespeople who can't call anyone to sell services to, as no one is at work. They can't set up meetings, nothing. The business has a chance of going out. And now we are bringing on a man with his own story to tell, Dimitrios Mavromichalis, I hope I didn't butcher that too bad, who owns a bunch of businesses in Mar Vista. Please tell us your story.
My story is a lifelong Angelino, resident of Los Angeles, from Greek ancestry. Parents, we just had our Greek Independence Day on the 25th, and the Greeks overcame a big thing with the Ottoman Empire after 400 years. So I got a little bit of a fighting spirit, or a lot, if you say, in this. And I've been through a recession before, so I'm a little bit more calmer on this one, although I see the urgency of everything. I started businesses in that community where I was raised and grew up, and started a family, from a local coffee shop to the neighborhood farmers market. A couple of eateries, the Mar Vista restaurant, the Wood restaurant, the Art Bar, which is down the street from us. And I just championed my son, who just turned 19, took our clothes business and reopened up a brand new business. An 18-year-old CEO showed him the ropes, how to start a business with a sledgehammer and a Sawzall, teaching him what a Sawzall meant, Sawzall. And the kid really rolled up his sleeves and built up a business. Now he's laid with a doom and gloom economy meltdown. And it was a little too early for this kid to experience this lesson, but I told him, if I was to die and go to heaven, the thing I would tell you right now is you're exactly where you need to be right this present time, because this will make you or break you depending on how you handle it and learn and grow through it. And if you can pull your community together, maybe you can get down the road. But isolated like we're trying to do right now, and split us all up and stay home and close down, we're never going to make it.
Dimitrios, you are a man, as you said, you've been through this before. Clearly, you know the ropes. I know we have a bunch of small business owners watching this tonight. They're desperate. They're scared. I've been hearing from them for days now. Do you have any words of wisdom for them? I know you're obviously worried about your businesses now, too, but you've been through ups and downs. What advice would you give somebody who's sitting at home, pulling his hair out, draining a bottle of whiskey as we speak?
Well, whiskey's going to help everything. Whiskey's good. But don't panic. And the reason why I say that is because 10 years ago, I panicked. And if I listened to the mainstream media before it even became what it is today, even whatever crazier, I would have jumped off a cliff, because I felt like for me personally, I felt like I had to ignite myself in fire every day just to go battle the forces that were saying no. The lenders were saying no. Everybody was saying no. And I'm afraid of losing my house, my job. Now, that was very bad during then. But, after all the things I learned going through that, now I would say to people, like, listen, we're all in this together. Everybody's going to take a haircut. Nobody's going to lose their home over this unless we all lose our homes, and on the banks and everybody. We can tell them, like, start out with your lenders, start out with your landlords, and work from there and say, hey, look, I need a grace period. I need a forbearance. I need to delay the bills for right now because it's not my fault that the economy is down. This is a world global crisis, and our friends in the media and our local leaders are not making this any easier. They're really putting the fear in everybody's minds, and people are panicking, and you cannot panic. You don't make good decisions when you panic, all right? So,
how are you keep bringing up the media, and I just despise them through this process. I think that, well, I despise them anyway. I think they've been disgusting, more disgusting than usual. So you're a small businessman. You need information. How are you consuming media? Are you only social media? Do you only have a specific channel? Do you not listen to any of it? Or how are you getting your information without taking in too much and having to listen to these vile creatures?
So you kind of need to tap into the mainstream media just to hear like announcements, like are they funding this SBA or the crisis with the $2 trillion? Did they vote? Did it pass? Did it not? But the rest of it, I say turn it off because you're not going to get what you need to know. If you want to have a clear head, go and do your little homework. Go online, check various news outlets, verify the stories, and it's where we're at today. I can't believe anything I see on TV. I start with my own backyard. How many people do I know that have contracted this virus? I just found out one the other day in New York, of all places. And guess what? 82 years old, heart condition, type 2 diabetes, fainted with 102 fever last Friday. And Monday, he's home in his house, recovering, not out of the woods, but he's recovering in his home. That's a good thing. They're not telling us this. They're telling us, Garcetti, our own mayor, we got the worst leaders in California, amongst other places. They're telling us everybody's going to die, basically. I mean, in a nutshell, you're not hearing maybe, might, this, that. You're hearing doom and gloom all the time. How are you supposed to try to find a way to dig through this if you're listening to these guys? They need to bring people together.
Have you had to lay anybody off or let anybody go?
Let over almost 60 employees off, yeah. And the thing is, we're trying to keep them on the payroll, although we don't have money to pay them. So what I'm trying to do is tell them to hold on. We're basically giving you a furlough. We're applying for these SBA loans, and I pray to God that Donald Trump and the federal government are going to deliver on what they said, because SBA loans haven't been the easiest things to obtain throughout the years. It seems like you need collateral and all. But what I'm trying to do is tell the employees, like, look, we'll bring every one of you back as soon as we possibly can. We're going to pay you for any hours that you're owed. And if you need any food or if you need anything to get by, we'll supply you. I mean, I'm going downtown. I'm picking up sacks of rice and beans and cheese and the basics, eggs. I just picked up a truckload of eggs, and I'm going to hand them out to anybody that needs them within my family, my employees, and try to find a way to navigate and get through this. They told us that we could open up to-go businesses, but a lot of our businesses don't translate to go. I mean, and now our city's decided that they want to rip the sidewalks out because this is the perfect time to do infrastructure repairs on the Venice Boulevard. And how the hell are people supposed to go? How the hell are they supposed to go and get to the store and on a limited menu? Not only that, the meter maids now are on fire. They're ticketing everybody. I mean, I got out there and I'm videotaping on daily. They're ticketing everybody. Like, you're punishing people for coming out of their houses. Like, come on, let's just be careful. Let's move forward. You know, like a flu, you can't stop it, right? So you're going to have to get sick a little bit. Younger people might be able to fare through it. Older people, we've got to be more cautious with, like always, right? And go the extra mile. And if we got to take a haircut, let's all take a haircut. And we can do this. I can help people get their SBA loans packages. I can help our employees apply for federal monies, because a lot of our employees are not documented workers. We found out recently that they might have given us paperwork, but they can't collect because they might have given us the wrong paperwork. So now we need to help them qualify a little bit, because they have families and they're the lifeblood of our economy. If we can't get these restaurants back open, Jesse, I don't know what to tell you. There's going to be a massive thinning out of the herd. But if we can network together, I think we can get through this. I'm pretty sure we can.
Demetrios, God bless you, man. Hang in there. Appreciate you giving us some time today. Hang in there.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're not finished. Hang on. Well, we need voices like Dave Bratt during this time because not only is he a former congressman, not only is he the dean of business at Liberty University, but he knows all this stuff about China, and he's been all over this China thing long before they exported a virus to us. Congressman, I would just like to apologize for the tinfoil on my head before I even say this. I'm just going to put it out there, and you can feel free to tell me I'm an idiot. What am I supposed to make of the fact we are currently destroying the United States economy because of a virus that came from China, who was very, very, very much losing the economic battle with the United States about 2 weeks ago, right before this virus, and now they're not losing it anymore. We're losing it. At the same time, they're putting out memos to the world that they should be the world's trade partner. I don't want to go full nutter here, but that seems all pretty coincidental to me.
Yeah, you don't need any tinfoil to connect a few of the dots. The virus came from China, from the Wuhan district, where their viral labs are located, the central labs in China. And then secondly, the economic disruptions we're facing are because all of our supply chains are located in China. And then thirdly, Chinese documents themselves declare they're in an economic and cyber war against us. They got documents called China 2025 and China 2050. And go read the book Deceiving the Sky. Deceiving the Sky comes from the Chinese lore that their intelligence should be so deaf that not even the emperor knows what they're doing, right? Chinese intelligence. And that's clear. And so, you know, President Trump has had his eye on all of this from the beginning, leaning into China on all their infractions, stealing all our stuff, unfair trading practices, and the globalization piece. And so, yeah, now you throw in this virus, and then they won't cooperate with the World Health Organization. They won't cooperate with our Centers for Disease Control. They won't tell us the origination of the virus. They won't share any research with us on the virus. And so that's what a communist Marxist regime is. It's a totalitarian regime that had enough money to build islands in the sea, right, in the South China Sea, and to arm them to the teeth against us, which they have announced, again, in writing. But they don't have enough money to buy a lock for their central virus lab in Wuhan.
Congressman, now, my brain is not capable of fully grasping this subject, so I need you to explain to me why the world puts up with this. I'm blown away by it. I mean, this is a country that, as you said, that you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist. They put this crap in writing. We know it. We know they're after us. We know they have imperial dreams. We know they're bad actors, severely bad actors on the world stage. We know they want to stomp people. They're a nuclear power. And yet the world, I mean, it's not just the World Health Organization. It's all over the world seems to just lay down and take it. There's almost no outcry, not serious outcry about it. And I'm stunned that it's that obvious. Why?
Yep. I think there's actually a fairly easy explanation that President Trump knows the answer to, and he's put it out there. After World War II, the United States alone was the superpower. We set up what's called the Bretton Woods liberal order, meaning liberal democracies, liberal liberty, not liberal crazy left. We set up the United Nations, the World Bank, the IMF, all the international organizations. The data points are all on our side, too, when you want to argue with your leftist buddies. The United States, the capitalist Judeo-Christian machine, made friends with our arch enemies, the Germans and the Japanese, who are awful enemies. Now we're friends trading together. We set up an order that enriched them and enriched us on a win-win deal. And the rest of the world got a free ride for the last 50 years. They did not have to pay. The only deal was you sign up for this new liberal order and you help us fight the communists, namely Russia at that time, the Soviet Union. And so they all got a free ride. And so when you say everyone lays down and just smiles at this, really what it comes down to is the U.S. was gullible. And that's largely the fault of the Judeo-Christian tradition we extend grace readily to everyone, as we did with Japan and Germany, always hoping for the best, but you also have to extend the law. And so if there are not any international norms that make any sense anymore in law, right, which we had with Europe, and they followed it to some extent. Now there are no international norms left, so the rest of the world just is still free riding, and it comes down to the U.S., and we are a very decent, moral people that want to always help folks out. We've done that, but now we've gotten, if turn the other cheek, we've turned the other cheek about 1,000 times, and now they've knocked us over on the street, and it's time that we have to fight back.
Congressman, please speak for yourself when you say we are decent, moral people. That's you. That is certainly not me. I'm neither of those things. It is a global economy. It is, and to a certain extent, that is inevitable just because it's so easy to go to and fro now with a snap of the fingers. It's just too easy. How do you balance the fact that at some level it's going to be a global economy with your national security? Here we are, we're sitting here trying to fight a virus, and 85% of our pharmaceuticals come from our arch enemy. That's clearly not sustainable either. What is the balance?
I think our founders had the balance, and Adam Smith had the balance. When you say free markets and freedom and globalization, all of that presumes the law, right? You don't have freedom unless it's guaranteed in law, in our Constitution. So we get that at the domestic level, right? In order to have freedom, you have to have private property rights established. Other people cannot be harming you, or they go to jail. Well, you need the same thing at the international level. And so the founders got that, and then we've fallen asleep. And then also, in order to have free markets and competition presumes that you have a large number of firms competing against each other, not the swamp, right? The swamp creates the big everything, big automobile, big healthcare, big airlines, big banking, big Google, big everything, right? Billionaires that hire lobbyists, go write pieces into the U.S. budget to guarantee monopolies. And that's where we've fallen away from our first principles. You know that you should not be supporting monopolies. In the long run, that's going to hurt you. But we support monopolies, and then we've fallen so far off track that we've put the monopoly supply chains in a communist regime called China. Right? So like you just said, 85% of the pharmaceuticals are manufactured in China. So we put monopoly power into the hands of a communist regime. And so the first principles are all sitting there. I've been teaching and preaching it forever. And I'm on the record, 10, 20 years ago, saying the same old thing about monopolies. And, if you want competition and you want the small guy and gal to do well, you better ensure that the rules of the game allow the small person and the small business to survive. And right now we're doing everything we can to crush them.
Dean of Business at Liberty University, thank you for giving us some more wisdom today, sir.
Hey, Jesse, I love it. You got a great show, and keep educating everybody because we need it.
Appreciate you.
You too.
That's it. That's our Jobs in Jeopardy show. Hopefully that was enlightening to you on what's going on out there. And look, we all know you enjoyed me. We'll see you on Monday.